Hey there, and welcome to the Cyber Resilience Brief, a SafeBreach podcast, the podcast that's all about helping you build real-world cyber resilience. I'm Tova Dvorin, and every episode we unpack what's working, what's evolving, and what you can actually do to stay one step ahead of attackers. In this episode, we speak to our senior sales engineer and EU contact, Adrian Culley, about legacy penetration testing, the future of penetration testing in general, and continuous automated red teaming. Happy listening. Good morning, Adrian. How are you today?
I'm very well, Tova. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I understand today we're going to talk about resilience, as we've been talking about since the beginning of the podcast, but specifically as it applies to penetration testing. Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, that's a great summary, Tova. And with the industry, government, people are moving beyond penetration testing. And what lays beyond penetration testing? 'Cause it's here. We may in the future talk about the history of penetration testing, its roots. But for today, the drive across industry and government is very much around resilience. And it's useful to look at definitions. If you look at any dictionary definition of resilience, in general, not specifically cyber, but there are two elements to resilience. Element number one is the ability to withstand an attack or adverse circumstances. Element number two is the ability to recover from an attack or adverse circumstances. That's just as true in cyber. So there are two elements to resilience: the ability to withstand, the ability to recover. Now, this feeds into that the other drive around the world is moving to cybersecurity activities that are continuous. Defense has been continuous for some time, except when it's bypassed or disabled. But penetration testing historically has not been continuous. What lies beyond penetration testing is breach and attack simulation, and yet another acronym. I apologize for people drowning in acronyms, but CART, which is continuous automated red teaming. Penetration testing is just one element of red teaming. There's much more to red teaming. It includes physical real world activity. It includes social engineering. It's way beyond the strand that is penetration testing. And that has its place. It had its place historically. However, many businesses would be penetration tested once every 3 years, once a year. And what lies beyond that is the requirement in several acts around the world now for continuous testing, for CTEM, continuous threat exposure management. We're looking for continuous threat intelligence. We're looking for continuous attack intelligence and updates. We're looking for continuous attack surface management. Now, what's driving all of this at entirely different levels? Let's step away from the technical. In the C-suite, chief officer land, this is about achieving proactive risk management across the entire security life cycle. And that's why we need to be continuous. Breach and attack simulation allows us to, in a safe way, take a known attack, apply it to ourselves, a bit like letting children play with matches. We make sure the matches are damp so we can't blow ourselves up. We can do a full-blown attack in laboratory conditions if you want to be super aggressive. For critical live production systems, which do now need to be tested, we're able to neuter the attack, so we can apply real-world attacks to critical live production systems without disrupting the business. Now, the next level of this, again, back to the principle of what's beyond penetration testing, is attack path validation. And what do we mean there? Within the concept of proactive risk management across the entire security lifecycle, breach and attack simulation is known attacks. We have an element of our platform we refer to as Propagate, which does attack path validation. That very clever piece of coding and tool is extremely dynamic. And what it does is, rather than emulating or simulating a known attack, it's creating attacks on the fly. There is an element of it, there's several elements of it that are AI driven, that are creating AI code that's never been seen before. It's also looking for chains of vulnerabilities, chains of attacks that are previously unknown to ourselves, to our partner or customer that's undertaking the testing. And why are we doing this? Well, that's what attackers are doing, seeking 0 days. We just had a few days ago the Microsoft SharePoint vulnerability, a large part of which remains unpatched. That was found by serious threat actors from Chinese military intelligence, the Ministry of Security in China, the MSS, undertaking this activity. Propagate allows us to do that for ourselves. So validating our security controls allows us to take known attacks and attack ourselves, hack ourselves before anybody else does. Propagate is we're looking for 0 day vulnerabilities within our organization before anybody else finds them.
So let me see if I could pick up what you're putting down here. You're saying that if someone is using a breach and attack simulation tool, it's essentially putting a burglar alarm outside of their home or a moat, right, for a traditional castle. But when we're testing with Propagate or with another attack path validation tool, you're seeing what will happen when someone actually breaks into your systems, and it might change every time.
So that's a great analogy, Tova, and I like to use the analogy that for a business, they're more akin to a nation state's embassy in a hostile foreign country than they are to a home. Why? Well, other nation state advanced threat actors are very skilled at disabling burglar alarms, to stick with the analogy. Many of our partners use SafeBreach's platform as a digital canary in the coal mine to detect that security controls have been disabled and tampered with. Many vendors now, their security controls contain anti-tamper mechanisms, but the paradox is, but if it's disabled, the anti-tamper mechanism won't trigger. SafeBreach, in its continuous testing, does very efficiently detect security controls having been tampered with. Now, when we switch, to stay with the analogy, into continuous automated red teaming, we're moving into the activities that intelligence agencies undertake against that embassy in a hostile foreign country, probing constantly for any weakness, any flaw, anything that can be exploited. And that's what we're doing with Propagate. It's a very aggressive tool. It's largely living off the land. It is non-disruptive, but it's a killer automated attack, and we're looking for something that's got a very high success rate. We're looking to be in the 98% plus successful attacks. We always come back to remediation, whether we're in breach and attack simulation world or continuous automated red teaming world. We're always looking for remediation, but this is where we get to proactive risk management across the entire security life cycle. It's no good just finding a flaw. We have to then remediate that flaw and retest. That's why we're looking for continuous, because the real activity here is proactive risk management across the entire security life cycle. And beyond penetration testing, legacy penetration testing cannot achieve that. Legacy penetration testing is not boosting resilience. It's point in time, it's largely manual. There's always a strong human element, that's very much needed, but we're trying to reverse the adversary advantage. We're trying to disable the adversary where possible, and many adversaries have considerable resources. What we're trying to do is punch way above our weight. We do punch way above our weight to take all of that knowledge and experience and skill and cutting edge techniques, cutting edge known attacks, cutting edge threat intelligence, and apply it continuously. But not only looking, as I mentioned before, hacking ourselves with known attacks, but looking to find previously unknown vulnerabilities, previously unknown chains of vulnerabilities, and it's the chaining that's critical. We're building up on attacks. If we find one weak point, where's the next weak point? Where does that then get us to? If we declare a particular machine as being the 0 patient, what can we do with that? And we do two things. we calculate the blast radius, and by that I mean if that single machine is compromised, how far can an attacker get from that machine? And then the blast fallout. The blast fallout is how much damage is done. How far can I get and how much damage can I do? And these aren't bailiwicks of traditional legacy penetration testing. It will continue to have a place, but very much the drive across industry and being driven by legislation and regulators is now about proactive risk management across the entire security life cycle. That's why we need to be doing this continuously, and it's why we need both an attack simulation, but also continuous automated red teaming. And within that, we're managing attack surfaces and continuous threat exposure.
I see. I mean, there are those who would make the argument, though, that manual penetration testing or legacy penetration testing is not completely dead because it's still needed for compliance purposes. Do you see it as being on life support for now, or do you think it will actually be phased out?
I think it will always have a place, but here's the issue. It's largely manual. It's very human. If you analyze any threat actor and any large campaign or attack, it's very clear that considerable resources are placed at this. There are mathematicians, there are coders, there are cryptologists, there are people who understand networks, there are people who understand reverse engineering, there are people who understand operating systems, there are people who understand machine code. Incredible resources and teams are put together to launch these sophisticated, nuanced attacks. How does any single individual or even team of individuals hope to compete against that? And that's why we're moving towards continuous and automated. And quite frankly, so are the attackers. The attackers never sleep, and nor should you. Physically, you have to sleep, but you need a platform that never sleeps on your behalf. That's what we deliver.
So, to answer our question of you've just run a penetration test, what's next? What you do is you call SafeBreach and you make sure you have something installed that will keep doing it for you while you sleep.
The question at CEO, CFO level is, are we truly delivering this in a continuous manner and against our critical live production systems? Laboratory testing no longer cuts it. Legacy penetration testing no longer cuts it.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining me today, Adrian. Look for links in the show notes about our previous episode on the SharePoint Zero Day and for upcoming episodes as more events in that attack develop. The Cyber Resilience Brief is a SafeBreach podcast. It's produced by Tova Dvorin and executive produced by Adrian Culley. Sound design provided by Adobe Podcasts. Distribution provided by Podbean and extra support and love from the SafeBreach team. For more information on how adversarial exposure validation through SafeBreach can protect you and your business, no matter where you reside or what industry you're in, please visit us at www.safebreach.com.